Welcome to strengthforgardening.com, and today we're going to look at an exercise that you can do to help decrease some tension in the lower back and also the back of the legs and potentially the upper back as well. This is an excellent exercise to sort of work a lot of muscles at once to lengthen them. And one of the things that this might benefit is just gardeners that are having problems with their back, a sore back or stiff back, preventing them from doing a lot of gardening tasks. So from anything from digging to lifting to kneeling or planting, all those things can become quite difficult with a sore back. And a lot of people tend to stop wanting to lift things or do a lot of bending, a lot of rotating exercises when their back is sore. And this exercise that I'm going to show you today is something that you can do before you garden, or you can even do it right before you go to bed, and decompress the back muscles a little bit and the spine, and it can help you with the next day with better movement of your muscles. So what I'm going to do is take you through just the different steps of the exercise. It's actually quite easy to do. Basically, you just need to be able to put your legs up on something. So doing it against a wall or even up against a chair or a piece of furniture is very good. So the first thing that we're going to do is just try to sit right up against the wall, as close to the wall as you can. Now, for some people, they're going to be very tight in the back of the legs, and that potentially leads to a stiff back because the hamstrings are very connected to the lower back and the gluteal muscles. So if you're very stiff there, you might have to move back a little bit, and we'll show that position in a minute just to modify the stretch. But otherwise, you try to get up as close to the wall as you can, and you're going to try to put your legs in alignment with the hips, so sort of straight up and down. And the ideal thing is to try to straighten the legs as much as possible so that you feel a bit of a stretch or a lot of a stretch in the back of the legs. So if you're very tight there and the knees have to be bent, that's fine. You just do it to the level that you can. But you're trying to keep the legs as straight as possible. And the next thing that you do in the sequence is pulling the toes down. Okay, so you're pulling the toes down, which increases the stretch in the calf or the muscles behind the leg. And then from there, you're just sort of thinking of pushing the heels up towards the roof. So the heels are going up and the toes are pointing down, okay, and the legs are fully straight. And then you're very lightly feeling that you're pushing the lower back towards the ground. So sometimes just by straightening the legs, you're going to feel that the back maybe wants to come off the ground, but you're very lightly going to push the back, or what's called the sacrum at the bottom of the spine, towards the ground, while you keep the straightness in the legs, while you pull in with the toes, push the heels towards the roof, and very slightly internally rotate the toes inwards. So that's sort of the next position, is bringing the leg from the hip internal like that. And what that does is it opens up sort of the joint in the lower back called the SI joint, which is sort of the area between the sacrum and the ilium, two of the bones of around the pelvic area. Okay, so this is putting that area under quite a bit of tension or traction, so it's stretching that area. Then the next thing we're going to do is take the arms and just put them at the side of the body, and you want to try to turn outwards with the shoulders, so an external rotation of the arm. What this does is it really just opens up the shoulder joint, and then from there you're going to take the arms and reach overhead, so right up over the body, trying to hold that external rotation of the shoulder. Okay, so you keep the legs in the same position, you keep the feet turned internal slightly, the toes pulled down, the tailbone is pushed towards the ground. Then what you're going to do is slowly take the hands and extend at the wrist. So you extend outward at the wrist, okay, while the shoulder is in external rotation. So what this is doing now is it's completing the stretch, going all the way up through the body. So it's stretching out what's called the lat muscles, the latissimus muscle that goes from the shoulder all the way to the hip. Okay, so all these muscles play a role in the back the length of the back muscles or the support of the back muscles. So when we stretch this, we ultimately stretch all the way through the back, and it's stretching all the way down through the back of the legs and decompressing the vertebrae in the lower back, slightly pulling a little bit of traction on the vertebrae of the lower back. And then the final position is taking the chin and just very slightly tucking down, almost like you're elongating the back of the neck. So now the whole spine is sort of being stretched upwards from the arms and shoulders, and stretched the opposite way from the legs, all the way down to the toes. So this is sort of the full, complete position of the stretch. Now ideally with this stretch, you would try to hold it for about a minute once you get into the final position. So you move the legs around to get them into position, you move the feet into the right position, you move the shoulders, the hands, and then the neck into the right position. And once you get all those things happening, then you hold it for 1 minute, okay? And you don't have to push quite as hard as you possibly can. Just start lightly. If you want to try to reach a little bit harder, a little more exertion into the stretch, then you can do that if you're comfortable with that. But an excellent position to elongate the whole back, take tension out of the lower back specifically, and out from behind the legs. So if you do this exercise about 1 minute a day, you should notice a definite improvement in the mobility of your back, and it can greatly help to reduce tension in the lower back, which will help you with many of your gardening tasks. Now, one thing is to modify this stretch. You can move a little bit away from the wall. So I'll just show you a little bit easier version of the stretch for a lot of people that are very, very tight there. So their knees might be slightly bent if they can't straighten them all the way, and they might be a little bit farther away from the wall. Even if they had to come really far away from the wall, that's okay. It's all working on the same muscles. So some people just getting back and trying to get the legs straight from that position is fine. And then adding in the upper body, so reaching the arms external and then going up over the head and reaching long, pulling the toes down, going a little bit internal with the toes towards each other. Very good. So I hope you found this useful, or this exercise useful, and practice this and see the results for yourself. See what happens with the back. See if you have a bit more mobility in the back, if you can decrease pain there, and go back to all the tasks that you love to do, and the kneeling, the bending, the digging, the twisting, all those things that are a lot easier when your back is feeling less sore. Okay, thank you.